substance that will really make a difference in your recruiting process. And some of it may even be off the court. Coach is a wealth of knowledge that I'm sure he's going to bring here any second. And I want you to leverage that. You know what I mean? Before he gets on, though, one little topic I do want to talk about that I think is us as parents really need to keep our finger on the pulse with. And that's like, understand that you may get wrapped up in this a little bit, parents. Especially, oh, my kid got rolled up, this kid did it. But you really need to compartmentalize that. One for yourself, and then two for your kid. You know what I mean? There's a lot of mental health things going on that we don't understand. And a lot of this because, again, people are writing people up for different things. Kids are smart. They know they might have outperformed this kid or done something more than this kid, but this kid got the write-up. And it's really hitting home with them mentally. And sometimes it's not going to show up until it unravels on the court. And I need you to know that, I was actually blindsided by a situation this weekend that I had no idea that this was what was going on. This is exactly why the kid was underperforming, even had some, kind of character issues going on that were uncommon to them. No pun intended with the uncommon. And it was all they were worried about, who was going to see what, this and that. So again, bringing Coach V in here is going to give you some substance as to what you really need to think about, what you really need to speak to your kid about, and so that you guys are all on where are we going to go. Okay, if it didn't work, this is our next step, not just go chase something else in that nature. And so, like I said, Coach V's here. I'm very excited for that. Yes, I have a great amount of experience with this too, helping put over 100 kids in college, but I'm not the person who needs the spotlight. I want to get it to Coach V because Coach V, again, I've never coached in college. Coach V's been there for numerous years, recruited tons of people, offered actual scholarships, not fake scholarships, not just a Twitter write-up. This man's been through the trenches of what it's like to actually recruit a kid. So I hope we get a lot of value out of this, parents and players, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Coach, how's it going?
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Doing great. I know you and me talked about keeping this really precise, really concise for everybody. Just hit them with a lot of value, true facts about what they need to focus on. So, if you're okay, I'd like to just go get right into it. Before you jumped on, I was talking a lot about some of the do's and don'ts that I've been seeing personally as I've been in these exposure periods and different tournaments and helping kids navigate this process as well. But I'm curious to see what you've either historically in the past as the college coach or even now are seeing, and what are kids and players doing right, and what are maybe some things they're a little misguided that they think is going to bring value but really won't.
It's funny because, again, everybody talks about how much change there is. I mean, I went when you're moving houses, man, you go through all your old boxes, and I found probably about 35 practice planners, as you're saying, being an old college coach. It's not about, but there's a lot of things in the practice plan when I was prepping for this call this morning that really hasn't changed. I mean, it's the same. Yeah, I mean, the live periods change. There's some rules that I think parents don't understand that have changed about limitations on coaches being out, select periods, live periods, where to go, where not to go. And so, but one thing that hasn't changed, and I think you're right on point, is what do's and don'ts to me, Coach, is, man, too many people are wrapped up in exposure. Exposure comes as your game develops, as your play is consistent. And so, I mean, that's why I say you said the coordinator. You're right. I mean, I'm not watching a kid once and then sending them an offer. I can say that I use that at my camps. I can tell a kid that it doesn't hurt me one bit if I'm driving 6 hours to watch 3 days of basketball and be interested in 90 kids. I mean, I'm just standing on the court. I'm only got 2 names in my real book, so. The point is, interest is not an offer, and that to me has changed because you said it. The praise, and I wrote some things down that are very concise. It's tougher for kids, man. The social media is what's changed. I mean, you can look at a lot of guys that maybe never had any experience, like you said, in recruiting a kid, ranking, writing them up, and they're not really, and they think that's exposure, but you got to really know. And so, to me, the 3 that I wrote down and that hasn't changed is, I don't care what you're doing, who you're playing with, 10 years ago or today, if you're not working 10 or plus hours a week on your game, you don't want to play college. Everybody's playing. And that's just that's a black and white hour amount. If you're not putting in 10 hours a week at some aspect of your game, that could be agility, hard-ass agility. It could be anything that you're doing that's improving your basketball game. Basketball is quick speed. It's not football. I mean, it's a different type of, so anything that's involved with your strength, your conditioning, your game, your jump shot, if it's not more than 10 hours, so just go back the last 2 weeks. Because a lot of guys play, I don't care what you played this weekend. I don't care if you played the last 2 weekends. Did you do 10 or more hours a week developing your game, whether you have a good trainer or not? If you don't, then you're not playing college basketball. It's too much summer. That's 5-6 months before, a new high school season starts. And that's what you should be focused on. And that's hard because people play a lot more than game. The other thing I have is, that still I think is consistent to today is, internal drive. Because now, I don't care who you're playing for. There's good coaches out there. This is not a knock. But I rarely see, I see some hollering and yelling. But looking at it from a collegiate standpoint, when you're evaluating, I rarely see kids being subbed out for college habits. Rarely. So he's a kid. So you got to, if you're not internally driven to sprint your lane, to get over the top of screens, to rebound, to do things that are internal, not external. Hey, I got a picture afterwards that I dropped 30 and my team lost by 20. If you're not internally driven with playing so much and playing so many tournaments, then your habits are going to be your habits next year, and it's going to take the first semester. So if you don't think habits matter, I'll give you 3 examples of what did you think of so and so. I'm not going to mention a name. Could be a D1 coach, could be a D2, could be he doesn't run the floor. This is in tournaments. He gets pinned real easy. I don't know. Those are habits. You're not probably getting subbed out for getting pinned hard as hell in the paint and just standing behind the post. But if a college guy's on the baseline, he's looking at that. Shots come and go. And so I think that hasn't changed. It never changed for me when I had, you said it. I mean, it ain't easy for me, and that was before the portal with 1, maybe 2 scholarships at West Texas A&M. Let's not even use Texas State. Man, it's so tough. Man, I was in charge of who the 2 guys were signing or who I liked. I was the lead coordinator. So I better bring 2 names that keep my job. So I'm researching everything. So those are the things that I looked at, and a lot of guys sitting along the baseline talked about the same stuff while we were drinking coffee. You see the little ropes. So, but kids don't understand that. So I say, don't. We just talked about those 2. I mean, moving teams sometimes is good for you. It's just the ones that move 3 to 4 times a summer. That's a giant red flag. If you want to move and it's better for you, it makes you, and you move, coaches will maybe research, but they also hear about the kid that moves every other 2 weekends. And they're not taking you. I mean, unless you're, maybe I don't even know about taking you behind majors. There's too much competition. So again, if it's one maybe potential move of a team because you're, it's good for you, it's closer to home. They're not dumb. Again, I wasn't dumb. I wasn't going to go home and ride a bus or have to drive a bus or teach math. That was my job. Besides coaching, when you're that league coordinator. So internal drive, I think a don't is external praise. You like it, it feels good, but again, what really matters, we're just talking about exposure, is, man, how many hours a week are you developing your game? That's a college level commitment. If you don't have college level commitment, it's going to catch you. I mean, that interest won't ever turn to offer. I mean, they're going to continue to follow you along that trail, and I hate people say, well, I got an offer. I said, you got paperwork? I mean, I asked him 3 questions like that. I know what a D2 and we sent the real offer is like full blown. And I asked them that, and they don't have any of that. So, until you get that, you got to keep going. But again, and then the last one, I think, and we talked a little bit of this off the chart, off record, and then I'll let you break in here and we can move to the next thing. But man, it's not one game. If you really want to gain exposure, it's a credible resource. We talked about Gasso, and they're credible. I've known them forever, but it's a write up or maybe a post. In other words, 4 days of consistent play and a credible resource mentions you, writes you up, gets on there. That gets your name out to a lot bigger audience. As you know, there's coaches going to all different tournaments. They know who's credible. If you're not credible and you're saying, pushing the wrong kids, again, I didn't burn bridges, but I'm not really going to you and I'm really looking for, hey, who do you like in San Antonio? Who do you like in Houston? I never did. I never said, oh, you don't know what you're talking about when I was coaching you. But now I'm in a different space. But that's how you really can gain some exposure over a weekend, not one day, a picture after one day. That's why my camps are built different. It's not a one-day camp. It's a year-round kind of platform to kind of discover talent and help the year-round approach to gain exposure. So I think those are some do's or don'ts in the summer that are pretty consistent for all kids. And man, if you really want some exposure after a tournament, play consistently, stay locked in, stay engaged. And I didn't say average 28. I said play consistently. We talked about that over 4 days and let them notice you and put your name on the map. And that hits a lot more coaches that may have not been at that tournament if it's out there coming from the right people or the right writer. So, but that's some do's and don'ts for me, Coach.
And I just want to pick it back a couple of things that really hit me. Okay, so number one, you talked about how much you need to work, and I get how expensive this world has become. I'm in it, and then on top of that, I have a son I'm taking through it, right? But and you mentioned having a good trainer, if you can have that, and you're trying to find that can be tough at times. But even just being intentional, like knowing what you need to work on. Could I not go left, touch paint with my left hand all last tournament? Okay, well, we probably need to shore that up or whatever it is, right? I shot 15% from the field. Okay, well, being intentional about what you work on really matters. And the thing I think that, because I also, being a parent, I get to sit with a lot of parents, coach. And one thing that I think we need to keep in mind as parents, because we inherently think our baby deserves opportunity and they deserve this because we see them in a light that no one else does, and that's okay. That's a positive. You're the parent, but when you said this was your job, there is no college coach out there that's going to lose their job because they hear that what you're saying about your baby, and how great your baby is, and how much you believe in them. They're not going to lose their job going off a parent's word. They're just not going to do that, and you can't expect them to do it. So when you get mad that nobody called you after the open period because you believe your baby needs a chance, like, come on now, like, let's be realistic about how the world works. You know what I mean? And then the third thing that hit me was that when you said consistency, we all know the numbers now, and this is probably even before the portal craziness, but it's what 1 to 3% of high school kids play college basketball. To be the one into the top 1% to 3% of anything in this world, you have to be consistent. I don't know anyone that's in the top 1% of anything that's not consistent. Take the basketball part out of it. We're just talking about human beings, period, achieving anything. Like that's a big thing that I talk about with my players as well in the gym is like, you want this, you want to be in the top 1 to 3%. Where is your consistency? So I agree. So coach, let's say they've gotten to a space where maybe they've got a little notoriety from the right people, or they've done the right things, they've reached out to the right coaches, and now coaches are watching them. They're at the game, it's open period. What are the things that you think are really key there?
No, I mean, I'm going to keep it again simple because, man, for over 2 decades, like I said, I'm looking through when you're moving boxes and you have 24 practice planners. I'm going to send you some pictures of this, but you see a lot of that. I mean, it's not rocket science. The game hasn't changed as far as what kids have to do to really, man, stand out for the right reasons. I use that, man. I said some guys like to stand out for the wrong reasons, man. And again, I'm not two different colored shoes, but they're watching guys that already made it, man. I mean, I always say, hey, if you make it to the NBA, yeah, it's fine. You wear whatever the hell you want. But so the three keys to me, I mean, that I think again are misinterpreted. And you said parents in the stands. Hey, get the ball to Johnny. Get the ball to Johnny. All right, there, yeah. Hey, the scoring, they're not. I wasn't dumb. So if 90% of the time, let me just put it this way: when you say coach of the game, before I get to tournaments, before I got to tournaments, or before college coaches get to tournaments, they got their big giant packet. They've got about 12 names marked that they've been watching film, calling the other opponents, calling credible people that played against them, teacher, whatever, like before they waste time, that are already on their board. So they're probably going to watch them, or we were going to watch them at least 2 to 3 games to get to do backtrack to your do's and don'ts to watch those closely. And that's going to keep, maybe, like you said, the percentages drop. We have 12 that we really like, we already know about. We're recruiting, but now we're down to 2 after that tournament that we really like. So you're not that 12. So that's really what the 97% are out there. They're not that 12. And so how to stand out in those environments, to me, so many people that you hear yelling in the stands about shoot it, Johnny, Bobby, whatever. Hey, if you can score and if you can knock down shots and you have a skill set, then they're gonna. That's the easier thing to assess. Like an athlete that gets a couple of dunks, like right off the bat, he's a good athlete. So now you got to watch. If I came back, in other words, and didn't know you, and I seen that, man, this kid has a real shot, man, he looked pretty good. I want to go watch him again. We'd go to lunch. And before my guys I had to watch, I'm going to go watch this kid from the Louisiana Kings again, man. He's intriguing. So he got a little dot by his name in my book. So I go to his game, and I'm going to watch him closer now. I'm looking at the fact that can you win with him, even 10 years ago, before I bring him to my bosses, or when I was the boss at Olu trying to build a program. I mean, it's not. I mean, that was point being is now, I'm only going back not to see if he scores 30. I'm going back to see can you win. I'm looking at everything that winning's about in case you miss some shots. And I think people get so hung up on scoring their way or shooting their way into an offer or onto a board, they shoot themselves off a board. They overhandle it. They do a lot of things that I think, and these are just kids. If you really want to stand out and you're always on the floor doing things that win, you're gonna stay in my book. Now we're gonna follow you and see what kind of, like you said, what stats. Now what are you doing in your fall? Maybe go to your high school practice, but now you're on our 12 or 14 list. So to me, key number 1 is in select environment. I mean, in particular, because again, everybody, it's write-ups, it's 27 points, but your team's 1 and 4, and man, you're doing everything that gets your butt kicked or would get me fired, or man, there's no way I'm taking you type stuff. So I'm good. So number 1 would be winning. And if you don't know what that means, again, it's some do's and don'ts. It's your habits, man. Did you get 14 rebounds because your shot ain't falling? Are you talking on defense? A lot of stuff that's crazy to me, because you'll stand out for all the right reasons. And I'll give you try this with your team, or if you're talking to kids or parents. I used to tell this when I was coaching. I'd say, I'm going to go to the select tournament today. I'll bet y'all a steak dinner after this. And there's 12 of y'all. By 5 o'clock today, give me 1 kid that's like the best player on his team, score or whatever, who's picking up full court and is the best defender and who makes more than 20 winning plays. And I'm going to go watch them. And they can't find one. So I say, talking, competing, you'll be a source. If you want to stand out and get in somebody's book, do that in that environment. You don't see it. In college practice, boom, boom, boom. Does that make sense, Coach? Like,
Oh,
so I'm
100%.
saying they're winning. This is along the same lines. Skill set, you have to be there. So you got to develop your game. We talked about that. 10 plus hours. A lot of guys are skilled, but when it comes to getting between the lines, they don't have the will to win. They don't have the willpower to play. You're looking at their will, because the will is what's going to send you home in the first semester, transfer portal. Now it's problems. I'm looking at, can you last a semester? So it's not skill. I mean, skill, there's a lot of skilled guys at San Antonio. There's a lot of skilled players. You train a lot, and you're in a different space. I couldn't do that. Not to say I didn't develop players in college, but you're really good, but it's up to the kids you deal with. it's up to them to go off. You're just developing their game. I'm more assessing, are you? Can you make the transition? When you see my tweets or whatever, he's college ready to my college peers. Means he. I think he has the will to last in college, to last through a college practice, preseason, when it ain't going your way, when I got 3 point guards out, boom, 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 all of that stuff. So winning, if I come back to watching, I don't know who you are. All I'm seeing is in that one game, and a lot of times kids don't get it. They get one game. If you're not my guy, I'm watching 3 times. So in that one game over the weekend, if you're always trying to win, and that means subbing in, bench, man, just it ain't fun stuff. It's just, man, you're just engaged. And I'll name some guys I think do that well. And then finally, I think the last thing I think the biggest key is when coaches are at a game, attitudes that people put it on the board, but to me, it's when things are not going your way. That's the only thing that matters. When you're benched, because you ain't benched a lot. I look at a select game, you can be benched every other possession for a college habit, to be honest with you. And that's, again, moving without the ball, sprinting, hard cuts, legit body-to-body screens. I mean, those not brush screens, those don't translate to college. You brush screen, you don't get open. You get half a second in college, not 3 seconds, like a local showcase where nobody's guard. Hey, hit 20 because he's wide ass open. You got to set hard screens. You got half a second to help him recover. I mean, that's basketball terms, but that's something I think you got to do. So attitude is only when it's not going your way. I want to see how you play. How do you come back into a game after you're bitched for a couple of minutes and select? I mean, it's college. Again, college recruitment exposure. It's not a knock on your kid, but that kind of stuff does matter. It's not when you're up 20 and everybody's having fun. You've seen those games. Everybody's attitude's good. I'm talking about who's the guy in there that's so bold. So winning plays, man. This is not the will. Skill is developed, and like you've got a lot of players go on. The players that you've trained that go on. Let's be honest, they got skill and will. You know that they cut hard. Period. They play. They can sustain and stay in school and become a high level player. That's it. So I think those 3 things, when coaches are at a game, and if you see them and you don't know that that's important, no, I ain't saying don't shoot, make plays, boom. But, man, stay engaged the whole game and winning plays. Show the fact that, man, they're not, I'm going to be able to tell if you're a penetrator, just the will to win, the will to be competitive that translates to college. And then if things are going bad, if you're down 6, if you get a bad call, if you linger on that for 4 plays and you're talking to the fifth, like those are things that are looked at closely when it's not going your way, which will be really moving you up a board, down a board. And to be honest, the smaller college coaches, and I coached at small college levels for like 17 or 18 of my 22 years coaching. I mean, they were small. Man, they're loving it. I mean, some of the guys are slipping, and it's not a knock to the smaller college coaches because of that portal. Man, the smaller colleges are getting better and better because kids are like decreasing their own stock. And so, and then those levels, they get a chance to get a kid, and who knows if he works out, man. They got a scholarship player at a D3 or whatever that's a high level player, these days. So if you want to slip a level or move up a board, I think those 3 things are going to be imperative when they're watching.
100%. And especially now that I'm not coaching this summer, I would see it as a coach, but now that I'm a parent and I kind of get the mile high view, it is very obvious, and maybe not to the trained eye or untrained eye, but who really cares about winning? Like who's purely there for winning? It's even obvious to see who's there trying to front like they really care about winning because maybe they heard some good advice like this, but really they just care about themselves and what's going on for themselves. And I would even say, like you said, with the parents yelling from the sideline, parents, I would be encouraging winning. And a lot of you aren't encouraging winning. You're encouraging personal shooting, personal scoring, personal this, personal that, and your kid hears it. Whether they acknowledge you or not, and hopefully they're not acknowledging you. They're kind of focused if you're telling them the wrong thing. Plus, it doesn't look good for a college coach to see a kid looking over at his mommy and daddy getting advice from them every 5 minutes. But it is very obvious who wants to win. Even just like one thing I look at, coach, is like to me it's small, but it matters. Timeout happens. You're on the bench. How fast do you get up? Do you get off the sideline and get on the court to go high five your teammates who are out there working and fighting? Because if you're congratulating the guys who are fighting when you're not allowed to go fight, it says a lot about what you care about, what's going on, and who's around you. So those are just small things I saw, and you're absolutely right about the adversity part. When I take a kid, let's say they're a freshman or sophomore, one of the first things I'm doing is making them more competitively tough. And I'm gonna put in my workouts. It's not easy. It's not, you see them. It's not. It's not. Oh, this is warm and fuzzy. Like, I want you to fall on your face, and then I want to see if you get back up. And if you don't, I'm gonna train you and help you get to that space. And then even as I get them to that point where then they sign to a college, that last summer, I've got about 7 to 10 kids right now. They're all going to college next year that I've had for at least 2 years. And I'm scaling their adversity to a whole nother level because even they don't understand what it's like. Or to
No,
go from being the big fish senior to being the small fish in a big pound of sharks. You know what I mean? Like it's not as
that's
simple
the
as they
hard
come with.
part, man. Like I said, I don't want to break, but let's say you're making it get an offer right there. That's the hardest thing that breaks my heart. I mean, people think I'm all tough, and not because I've seen kids. I've just been on the other side even before all this, and man, I'm telling you, I want every kid to succeed. I want, especially kids, man, that maybe not come up and then have the same resources or means. And the point, man, is I've seen kids get on a bus, man, back in the day with, I mean, they'll call me years later and like for nothing, man. Your whole life, 36,000. You work, you're there. You have a state, you get to, they don't understand how hard it is. I mean, people that have to pay for the education, work 2 jobs a night. You're there. I've seen kids get on a bus, go back to Mississippi for nothing. For the fact that they had to run. I mean, you have to. We were even inventive, man. I've run from better coaches that are Hall of Fame guys. I'm not gonna that used to stay working. Hey, right? I mean, just everything. We're gonna call it a reminder, that we don't get stuck on any screens. Like every point is like, I'm just saying those habits you're talking about. I mean, just in that first semester, they're not gonna. What you're saying is they're not gonna accept it in college. So you're gonna have to do that. So if you wait to get to college to be uncomfortable and you're talented enough and you get that opportunity, that's going to get real hard, harder than you think, because you're never used to doing it. They're going to make you do it. That's collegiate basketball. If there's money involved, yes. Those are habits that sink you in that first semester that don't have to sink you. So it's
Yeah.
not just what you're talking about. That's what I say is I have three purposes of why I'm still working so hard with Uncommon is not just to play, but stay there. Like you got enough, you've done enough and shown enough that in that first month when it's tough and like you said, sharks, you're going to continue to get those. You understand that they're going to demand
Mhm.
that. And I mean, I'm not going to I put one creed on everything, and it never changed. And I learned it from a better coach early in my coaching career, and it's something that I used to teach it. You know what I mean? Rep it, but then demand it. They're not. If I teach it, the same how to guard sideline, inbounds, whatever, and we demand it and practice you know what I mean? We rep the heck out of it. You've been repping the heck out of it. You know exactly how we play ball screens, and you mess up, they demand it. It's caught. Boom, you're done. You're out. So scale that down to you staying running on and off the floor. That's what I mean by summer basketball. One of the biggest dues is work on your dang game all summer if you want to play college. If it ain't, do an assessment of 2 weeks. If it hasn't been 10 more or more hours, don't ask anybody. You can't lie to the guy in the mirror, and it's not a bad thing. You can change it right now. There's a lot of summer left. So I wanted to start doing this, and I appreciate it. And then be careful. You're in summer basketball, you're 90%. I ain't saying bad. You may get yelled at here, but you ain't getting benched for college habits. You got to internally understand that it benefits you to sprint lanes. It benefits you to hold blockouts. It benefits you to set headhunter screens. It benefits you. Those are college habits looked at by guys on the sideline drinking coffee with their notebook open. That's it. And so what translates to college? That makes sense. Like a hard cross screen that gets your teammate open for half a second, and you can get a shot off in half a second. I'm looking at that while mom and dad are yelling, shoot it. Oh, great shot. And he's brush screening. He doesn't touch them. That doesn't translate. As a good teammate, right there, that's a simple example of a habit. And they're not subbing you out for that. You'll get subbed, you'll get pulled out of practice for that in college.
Mm-hmm.
Next guy in. That's what happens. Oh, I got to go home on a bus. Now, that's my heart, man, is, man, learn and make sure those two things in the summer you stay consistent at throughout, because it's a lot of time before Johnson High School or Atascocita start practicing again. That's a lot of time for you to bump your roll up and be consistent in the late life periods, which is what I truly believe in, is what are you playing like
Yeah,
then?
it's
Yeah,
alive. Mm-hmm.
everybody's worried about early, man. I get asked them, man, these kids, you can have a lot of things that can scratch you early. That's stuff like late life periods right before high school, man. That's a lot of time if you put it on a calendar to do those two things every week. And if you're going to play, and in between that, stay consistent. If that's and committed, if that's what one of your goals and dreams.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. I told my son the other day when we were at the open period, like, it's okay if nobody is here to watch you. It's okay. Like, it's early. It's like, if you want to be upset in July if nobody's coming to watch you. You know what I mean? And even then, he's a 27. So, hey, we don't know how many people are going to come watch, depending on where they're at, right? Coach, you've had the opportunity to connect with the Swiper League, which I think is really great, up and coming organization they got going on, really giving kids opportunities. Tell me a little bit about what you saw in that, how you're connected, and where you see the value of that.
I'm still learning, but then obviously I see the value in, I mean, being local and being around here and being in San Antonio. I've known Coach Caldwell forever, so man, credibility is good. Credibility is credibility. I mean, Coach Caldwell wasn't going to trick nobody early in his career when he was on the women's side. He wasn't going to call, Texas Tech or somebody for a girl that's barely D2. I mean, like, credibility is credibility, and that's sustained. And so the Swiper League is pretty cool for me because it's in my same space. Coach Caldwell has, man, allowed me to, instead of like, I mean, we got sort of a ranking system, but I'm just the lead evaluator on the guy side for the Swiper League tournament. So I'm all in doing everything I can to make sure those kids on that side that gain exposure. But as the lead evaluator, I'm not, and he's fine with that. I'm evaluating the things you're talking about. Those are who in my write ups, but I'm pretty consistent, man, with kids that have moved on at the right levels that you put them at. If you move yourself up a level like a Logan Gonzalez has, that's because his game is elevated. It's not the fact you're not tricking him. A year ago he was NAI D2, now he's D2 plus, maybe low major at the end. That's him, not nobody else. That's his game growing. So I'm just an evaluator on the guy side, but it's pretty cool. I ain't got to yell and run and holler and run, man. I still love my camps, but man, I really enjoyed the last couple of tournaments. We'll have a big one in July, and of just watching games ball for 2 days straight and just evaluating, which is what my wheelhouse really is, and what I enjoy doing. So that's what the Swiper League is, and I think it's De'Aaron Fox's league. I mean, and it's going to be cool to be a part of. I think we have some really consistent and cool things coming up that I think are going to help the game a lot, and especially on the guys' side. I mean, because like Coach Caldwell on the women's side, I mean, he's got that role, and that's part of the reason we've kind of partnered, and he kind of pulled me in because he wanted somebody that really could assess talent at the right levels and promote them the right way, and that's what I'm doing there.
No, 100%. I've been a big fan of Coach Caldwell. I've learned a lot from him over the years as well, especially when I had my girls' organization. Very credible guy. Everything he does is amazing. His finest players come in the gym to train with me, and there's some of the most squared away, knowledgeable, hardworking kids in the gym. So I'm really glad that he got to partner with that and he brought you along. I think two formidable forces in there providing for those kids is going to be huge. Now, really important though, June 11th. You've got your event coming. Obviously, I'll be out there with you, helping, bringing my son out there. I've already encouraged numerous players to get out there with you, just because I see the value in your uncommon camps. But can you shed a little light on that for maybe those who aren't familiar with your camps?
Yeah, I mean, I'm. you can go to uncommonbasketball.com. I mean, if you are interested, I mean, summer camps are open, so I want to get some of the facts out there to 2026 to 2028. I mean, they're open. So if you're aspiring to play collegiate basketball, if you want to learn what it takes, I mean, if there's things that you're really, if you want to gain exposure, if you want to understand these things like hands-on in my events and camps, what you really need to work on and what you're really good at. I mean, that's kind of the design of the summer camp. You got to call it exposure, but my summer layouts are designed to basically half and half. Like you lead with the roadmap with a lot of time left. And if you're the top 9 or whatever, like you know the formula, then yeah, you'll gain some exposure because again, it's instead of 4 days, you got to be consistent at my event all the way through 5 hours of really college intensity. That means I'm just testing, are you doing 10 plus hours a week? If you start to fall down after an hour and a half because of conditioning, you can fix that still. Mm-hmm. People don't want to say that, but it's been a blessing for the kids that have stayed uncommon. 90% have continued to grow their own game, elevate performance. That's what summer camps are about, but also discovering talent that have a real chance. That's why I utilize everybody's insight after my camp. My events are set up for the long haul. I'm going to be pushing kids all the way to the end of the summer that do well next Wednesday to all my contacts because they are really, putting in the time and really want to play college. No matter what, whether you're the hungriest kid in the gym, but you maybe ain't on varsity yet, it's a great camp to come to. It's not a showcase. You may be a breakthrough player that I could see everything that you have. Doesn't matter if you're a varsity starter. You may be the guy next year. You'll be I'll write you my report. I mean, it's fair. And then again, the second thing is, just the passion I have for all those traits we talked about. If I just narrowed it down, that's what uncommon camps are. Some run from it, and they come at the very end of the spring, and it's too late. It's kind of like the kid on the bus. Breaks my heart. Where the hell you been? You could have had such a chance. I'm gonna help, gain exposure, and some run to it. And I'll say the ones that run to it, and I can name the local kids if I had to that have come through uncommon, and from way back from Cameron Roper and all that. Cameron Roper wasn't even playing on varsity yet when he came to my camps, but he did a couple of things great, and he had the will and the mindset. You can't fake the fact that you want to play. A parent told me the other day, and which doesn't, as soon as they played a 9th grade tournament, college recruitment services were calling them. I don't know how they have a database, but that's how they get run the same. That's the money grabs. Mm-hmm. Showcase. I'm not running a showcase to be a money grab. I'm running a camp next Wednesday to find who really wants it. Maybe to teach that mid-pack, super talented kid with just a layout, not talking. Man, okay, afterwards I'll do free calls with players and show them the college coach's notes. That's your cheat sheet. I mean, that's the cheat sheet going into July. That's what I try to do. In the spring, all bets are off. That's what I say. If I prep, it's fake. Once I bring the college coaches in, like my Final Four camp, I love that. I mean, if you look at my Final Four camp, I think there's up to 19 kids at full rides now, offers, and there was only 32 that showed up. So I like those odds. But a lot of them were uncommon kids that came through. They knew what they were looking for. I mean, they weren't scared. I put them in. You're going to get stuck on a screen every once in a while. It's the next screen. It's the next screen. They knew that. They knew that sprint lanes was important. Now you're getting a real close look, and that's the spring camp. If I prepped it, it'd be fake to all the coaches that I want to bring late when you should be right there. So it's not a one-day event. It's a way to get yourself on radars in the late live period and for me to assess and put you in the right hands, promote you to the right levels, and get your name out there, or help you if you're really talented and you're trying to figure it out. And if you really care, they're okay with that constructive insight. I've seen that too. So I'm looking forward to next Wednesday. We have plenty of spots left. I need to get to invites and doing some more invites today, but man, that's great. And I did have some names that I think come to the spring camp or the Swiper League that I think have everything we talked about that should be on college coaches' boards at this stage that are 2026s, and that's just because they have all the traits that college coaches look for. If you don't mind me going through the list, I'll talk about some kids.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, man, the ones that stood out to me, I mean, this kid may be on a lot of radars. That's why I said there's the ones that are, and this is the Swiper. So again, I'm looking at all the things outside of talent as the weekend went on. And it's a kid named Carter Chisholm on that IFN team, that IFN team. I think that Logan plays on now. I mean, the main team, the Texas team. There's a point guard, Carter Chisholm, man. If D1s ain't on him already, man, they better be on him and then it didn't surprise me right after I found out his dad's the head high school coach. I mean, I don't know those things, but he has that coach's son's mentality. He understands what the hell's important. He won scoring. I think that's some 7-footers on that team. He was the guy, though, in my opinion. He plays with pace. I mean, he just does a lot of great things that a point guard has to do at the next level. And as the day went on, again, by the 4th game, I said that may be the best player in this entire deal. That's when I found out if that makes sense. Not the first game, but the 4th game. I said, that kid's a go, man. So Carter Chisholm, I think he's a really, really, and he's kind of hidden. I think he's at Mount Pleasant. He's up there in an under-recruited area, so he should be on radars. And then, again, I got sleepers. I think there's a kid for SA Hard Work. Man, that's the weekend when stood on. And a kid named Braylon Peters, man, he's probably D3 right now. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to hear that, but he's got D2 upside. He's got everything it takes early in the summer to bump his own stock up. At 6'7", he's playing, I think, at Flower Bluff, but I really was intrigued by his skill set. And then the 3rd game, when he really just, his motor, you just saw how, like, some winning plays. That's when I think Braylon stood out. But man, one of my favorites, and then the rest are from my camps, but probably my favorite kid I've seen it from the Swiper League. And man, I'm looking forward to watching him. And hey, this is a great one for every kid. The high school coaches at the Swiper tourney, the parent, everybody went to watch this kid. Not just a couple of they just like watching this. That's pure basketball. A kid named William Randall. William Randall from IFN Houston team. I don't know if he's at Clearbrook or something, but I'm going to tell you right now, he ain't the most skilled guy. I don't know. He can't score great yet. I mean, he's got it. His skill set has to get better. 6'6" kid. But if you want to stand out, you want everybody in the gym, parents, grandmas, grandparents, high school coaches to like you, the game needs help. Be a William Randall. That guy was a monster for 4 games. He was diving, rebounding, sprinting, talking. To me, coach, every kid can do that. This kid can't score great. I guarantee you, William Randall by the late live periods would be on a lot of radars because he consistently did that. It wasn't fake. Like you said, sometimes you think it's fake. The kid's talking a little bit. William ain't fake. That's what he does. He smiles. He shakes hands on the bench. He stays engaged. And he has the physical body that looks good. So he's making me forget after game 1 that his skill set is lower. He's not as high level skilled. I forgot about that by game 2. As a coordinator, make them forget about one of your weaknesses. I forgot about it. Kid's a warrior, man. Love them. So, and then coming from my camps, I think the ones that are some of them may be obvious. Like I said, I never go into it. Maybe you were the one that he was at, but Hagen Hurst came to 2 camps, and I think Hagen and O'Connor. One thing I like about Hagen is a lot of these kids want to be so joker, and he's a skilled big, but he's a big that plays big. You're talking about the less than the 5 percentile. There's big guys all over those select tournaments trying to be a 3, and they look terrible, and they're moving off boards. Hagen plays big, but then shows he can step out. He likes playing big. He's a lot tougher to guard the way he approaches the game, and I think that he's gonna have a big summer, man. I just don't see how he's not D2 plus. I don't see even Southland right now, like ACU's. I mean, should not be on a kid like that. I mean, for me, I would assess that just because of his not size. He plays bigger than 6'8".
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard to guard. There you go. There's a lot of weak defenders in select ball.
Yeah.
He's probably going to tear up because he engages. They just
You know,
can't.
and that's to piggyback. I saw him last night actually, summer league versus Steel. He looks like he's lighter on his feet since the last time I saw him, especially since that last uncommon camp. Steel tried to put him in some uncomfortable situations because they knew he was the head of the snake to a degree, and he didn't shy away from any of it. It may not have been his skill set what they forced him to do, but he didn't shy away from it. And you're right, he's one of the most impactful. And what I love too is he draws a lot of double teams on that O'Connor team, and
That's what I'm saying.
he's
He's just a skilled
and he's
passer, but
creating out of it. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
but
He's not just bailout passes like you see a lot of these bigs. Oh my gosh, here comes a double team. He's punishing you for doubling him. He's creating assists from you doubling him, and that's what his
let me
IQ is
let me
wonderful.
say, but yeah, let me put. Yeah, I'm still trying to say. Let me pick. Like some guys are his guys catching his short corner all select tournament. So you got to double his ass. He's bumped off the block. That's what I
Yep.
mean. He's smart enough. But the one thing he does, he plays big. If you're 6'6", and this is I can translate this up, get rid of this other list where we can wrap this up. But if you're 6'6" and your coach teaches you to play the 5, but you have a skill set of a 3, college coaches will know, and they'll love the fact that you're doing what it takes to help your team win and dominate. So if you want to learn from him, yeah, because I hear that all the time. Remember, I'm on the other side now, and so I've got to try to help parents too. And man, I'm just being real with them and trying to be genuine. There's nothing distance between us, and those are truthful things. If you're 6'6" and what he's playing him in the wrong position, if you can have play the 3 in college and you're dominating in your role in high school, and that's what you're the tallest kid, then be big, man. But play big, do what it takes to win. They'll be able to tell if you can handle the ball a little bit. They're not it. It's their job. So I would encourage to kind of take a note off of Hagen Hurst. The other kid I think is probably the most underrated kid. I'm going to keep saying this because I bet he ends up exactly at the level is the Paul Gumbart Mendoza. Still, people don't know about him. 2 camps he came to. He's plays for the Hayes Hornets. He's just there's a prime example. He's never left Hayes. He's had other people call him. I mean, he's loyal. He's that loyal. I mean, he's easy for me to sell, but he also can play. I just told some of the guys at the Final Four camp, I said, check out that junior and tell me what you think, because there's probably 14 college coaches there. Every single one was talking to Paul. In my environment, he may not get his notice in select basketball because of how many winning things he does, but he is a tough two-way player from Wimberley. He has every accolade in the book. And he came to in my spring camp, I'll give him credit. He came and did all the things that matter. He's on college radars now, getting visited. I mean, he's getting people bringing him up. And I just say, tell me what you think of that kid, because I said, I'm sold. And man, 4 or 5 programs are on him now at that NAIA D2 level. That's a good start for Paul. But I'm just telling you, man, that kid you can't fake toughness. And for me to say you're tough, like, I mean, I don't ever hurt a kid. Like, as you know, I'll never hurt a kid. But when I push that, that's the easiest stuff. He's tough. He is tough, man. He's a two-way player. I mean, he just does everything. So Damon Ramirez, man, I think is continuing to grow. I mean, but I saw him both in my camps and Swipa, and I thought he was one of the toughest kids a year ago at St. Mary's from the Wagner program, and then I saw him playing, and his game is growing skill-wise. His game, he's always been tough. You know, his toughness stood out a year ago at my camp, and now I think his game is catching up skill-wise, and I think he's going to have a breakthrough season. He's not on as many radars. He's starting to kind of get himself there as a 2026. And then I'll finish with a couple of guys. There's a kid out of New Braunfels, again, probably a jump shot away. He's, not William Randall, but a high academic kid. And New Braunfels always has tough overachievers. And they play a tough brand, but a kid named Carson Cox, I think, is going to have a breakthrough season. He's probably a jump shot away of immediately increasing his recruitment, but you can work on that behind closed doors before you start playing in the fall. He's got everything. Motor, 6'5", defends multiple positions in my camps, just plays consistent with effort. He's probably a consistent, and his shot mechanics are good. So I think, you can just say he's a worker. So I think in the fall, if he's able to, stick that the way he puts the ball on the floor at 6'5", just to keep you honest, he's gonna have a big season and move up college coaches boards. And then my favorite, but I don't want to overdo it, but he's been to 3 or 4 camps, but I'll finish with him. The Amari Guerrero, so glad he got that. And I pushed him out there. He saw my write-ups. I said he could play his way into a D1 potential offer. But the best thing Amari does, that man, I don't care about size. I love, and that's what's this takes it. This can be a great wrap-up, coach. I love that he wants to go play the best team, win, lose, or draw. You can't. I watch him in the sideline when he's. I this like I watched it on the live tournament after the game was over and they beat CP3. That's who he wanted. You can't take some kids run on it. He's real. And here's the little thing. You want to know what coaches look for? And again, I'm an old college coach, and after the game, he's like patting his select coach on the back. He's pop. Like, you can't fake that. Like, I'm not even talking about during the game. Like, you just love that mindset and approach. That translates. We've seen it. I'm not calling them Jamal Shed or anybody, but there's some undersized dudes, man, that are doing big things. I think Amari's approach to winning out in that environment is starting to catch fire for that kid. Because at my camp last year, at Michigan Steps Down, I said, oh, where the hell's I didn't know. I just don't look at all the local stats. And so that right there, going after, that's the game he wanted. If you say that, some kids don't have the guts to say that. You better back. That's the game he wanted. He's backing it up, and good for him. Again, another kid like William Randall is making coaches forget that he's 5'8", 5'9", early in this summer, and that's a good thing. And I called that. Not that I was the only one, but man, I didn't know anything about his stats when we had this camp last year. He was just the toughest winner in the gym. He won everything, every segment. You can't fake that. And by the end of camp, he had me sold. So I'm glad he's doing well. But just pay attention to his approach. You can't fake it. I watched all the way through the layup line after the game was over, hitting his teammates on the back. Like just making everybody better. Like, boom. His teammates, those cool kids laying on backpacks. So that look good, but they get your ass beat. I mean, again, like you said, they're losing by 25 points, they scoring 30, and then they're going on to the next game.
Yes,
So,
and I'll add to Amari. I got to be in the gym with him a lot last summer, and it was kind of organically in how it happened, but then also became intentional because I saw what a great role model he was even for my son. He's a grade older than my son, and I saw what a role model he would be because the kid, and this is what I think, and if I'm a college coach, I'm looking for this as much as possible because it seems to be diluted a little more. You talked about the will and all that, but loving this. Loving every part of this. Like you just talked about how much he loved his teammates, how much he loved the competition. Amari loves the work.
yeah,
Amari
you
loves
can't
the
pay
grind. Like there was never a time, and we were working. I saw him working with his dad, or he's working with me, or whatever it may be. He was enjoying the whole part of it, and it might have been his third workout. It might have been he knew he had to go do weights after that, and there was a smile on the kid's face the whole time. That's a kid who really wants to be in the gym and wants to be good. Because like it's easy to, like you say a lot of times, it's easy to fake a lot of this stuff when the lights are on or somebody's watching you that controls your or can determine your future. But what about in that gym? There was not one single college coach ever the whole summer, and it was his
I'm the
dad.
same
It was
thing.
me.
People don't know this about my camps too. I mean, I discover talent in the summer, and I'm gonna push it sometime. I mean, uh, it's real, but he's in my program, my year-round program. Yes, like you train kids year-round. I work with them as a recruiting coach. Everybody's worried about a profile. 82% of kids in my program, but get discovered is I'm going city to city to discover guys that have something, whether you've got a jump shot and you're listed by college coaches. That's what I do differently than common. If I see the same three names, we know we have a shot. So those services that never seen me play, that parents that say I got robbed, by thousands skeptical, and don't worry about me skeptical of me. I mean, you got to kind of qualify. I'm not going to lose. I have a different program. The game needs help. I'm trying to grow the game. I mean, game needs help. So I mean, that's one thing I think people don't know I do. That's really my year-round job. I respect the game. I don't do anything, in season. I'm not running events and tournaments and everything. I'm running get discovered summer camps are to discover guys because the game needs help and start to chip away and help them with their recruitment. And I have a different formula. I'm not going to go through it and say it. And Amari's in the program. We have a plan for him in place. to help him secure the highest offer. But that came last summer. So if you really want help before you pay thousands and thousands, know the genuine side of it. The camp's the byproduct of really trying to discover and make it affordable for a family, because I don't know your situation, to help your child increase his recruitment, understand, get more looks in late life, get the right looks. It's just more hands-on. And it's a lot more of the stuff we're talking about weekly with webinars. I mean, the more you can get, that's what I've created, the more you can hear straight from college coaches, not me. Even in the season, I do the webinars for my players. That's your cheat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
What are two things that coach? Everything you can learn that's going to elevate your recruitment. Too many people take credit, then man, boom. That's what Get Discovered camps are. It's a great way for you to say, well, what's that mean? Well, we're trying to discover 7 to 9 players next Wednesday that are, man, ready to be promoted, because I ain't losing my relationships, and that's what I've done differently. And it's great because it's fair for a kid that's unknown. If you outwork everybody and you're not a varsity player yet, I will bust my tail to put you in there and get you started on the plan. So it's fair. It's no, I mean, you can, the guys that play my game, you got to win. And I like, even your son came back up for 3 times, and that's growth for him since the first time I saw him. I'm not, just take me out of being a dad. Like, I see some things 2 years ago, I mean, that could really, really have hurt Tim Jr. And growth is growth. He's not a finished product. So even that little situation last year, man, he's coming back. That's all the way to grow here. He's a very skilled kid. I mean, he had that one deal that you got your regular dad, but you let it go, like that defensive situation we put him in, because he was one of the top 4 skill players that kind of broke him. But I don't want him broken in college. So so the second kid that does well with me, they don't go home. By the 3rd camp, maybe they get in the top 9. That tells me you really want to play. Like, you're not going to go home. You learned. You're not driving away. Like you said, if you're learning, you're growing. If you're growing, you got more time with this portal. It's how you're playing in the late life periods. It's what he's going to do next year. And that's the whole point of Uncommon. And using even your son as a good example. He was just going to be a sophomore when that happened. Now that's growth. I mean, I'm hoping he got better and tougher after that moment and learned. There's no out. Nobody's bailing you out in college, but that's a learning point in the summer camp.
Yeah.
And the spring is when I want them to pass that test. If you pass that test, boom, you triple your recruitment if you're good enough. That's what Uncommon's about. It's player driven. They sign players, not me. I try to help them make it affordable. Kids that miss these summer camps, so please put it out there, that have a shot, that come in the spring, like this is a 1-day hit, they're going to miss the boat next Wednesday. Whether we have 25, 35, or last year we had a great turnout, or we get to 40. I mean, that's my goal. So I'm going to do some heavy invites, and man, I'm looking forward to discovering a new batch of talent. And I had no clue who Amari was a year ago, and he passed every test, and I was putting his name out to every college coach I knew right after that camp. It wasn't favoritism. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to research.
Yeah, he earned it.
Yeah. So, but that's it, Coach. I think those are great things, man. Hopefully, some guys got something out of this, man. And I'd love to talk again, like you said, on Thursday. And I'm actually going to the Texas State team camp, man. I forgot all about that. I'll be up there Thursday and Friday. So, just watching. Those are my guys up there, and man, just watching talent, and man, maybe inviting some kids, and I'll be up there Thursday and Friday.
Sounds good. And to piggyback this real quick, because like you said, some people do run from it. They say, "Oh well, he's only going to promote you if you win." That has been one of the key pivotal points to Tim's growth, 100%. And to bring back to that defensive situation, you're right. Some kids might have just checked out of that. Excuse me. The interesting thing about that, this club season, he's put a huge priority on his defense. And I always say, before I tell him, Dad, the trainer tells him, like, this is what you need, I ask him, what do you think you need?
That's
You know
awesome.
what I mean? And one of the things he said going into a goal for this club season was defense. I said, really? I said, well, what made you say that? Well, he said, I'll tell you this. What happened in Coach V's camp with defense shows me that if I really want this, I got to take this to another space. So a lot of
On
people
one
might look at
hand,
that as,
some
oh,
guys don't get
that
back
was
there.
failure. You know what I mean? But no, it's a win. And you need to get a bunch of these little wins before you get the big win. This is not a home run type based environment. This is a have success hitting singles. So that's why he will also be at the Uncommon Camp on Wednesday for the, I don't know if it's the fourth or fifth time now, coach, but I know this. We probably won't have one college coach call us the next day. A, because you're a format, and B, because he's not, like you said, he's not a finished product.
There's a method to the there's a method to the madness, man. In the spring, when I started to make my hardest push, I can tell Brendan Ballard signed. He beat the portal. Brendan Ballard's from Weatherford High School, whatever. He's at West Texas A&M, full ride, not a freight golfer. The two that followed the game, Hunter McNelms, Sanger High School. Nobody, again, I mean, I already knew it was full ride, easy sell. Call Jimmy Ellis, boom, Henderson State. I mean, I knew it was coming. I told your parents. I'll post. I'll send you the two. But those are kids. I took them to the RCS Sports. I put them on my senior team. I picked the 9 toughest kids for that. I get every college coach to coach. Yes, I'm connected. Hell yes, I'm going to put my name on them January and beyond every single day because the game needs help. I mean, that's how they may wait a little bit longer and stay in touch with those kids. I said, be patient. But those are the kind of guys that beat it because of, like you said, they're consistently growing. Hunter's kind of like, I'm going to bring it with your son. Hunter, it wasn't nothing. By his 5th camp over like a year and a half span, I thought he was scholarship ready. His first camp, he was 6'4", skinny, 6'5", could have got lost in any gym in America. And man, his just everything in the DFW camp last year in October, everything he was doing at that point, I knew he was going to be playing Division I, Division II basketball that year. His defense, his mindset is tough. You can't fake it. He was just learning from those lessons. It's a long process. That part of his game has grown, and then he was so much mentally tougher. And that's the biggest compliment I get over is, man, that kid's playing at such a higher level. They don't know what I do behind the scenes. I do. I'm not going to say on this deal. I just take everything that's going to keep you from being recruited and only promote the best version of games, which again makes Tim or Brendan get me games consistently that are going to draw. And now you're consistently getting college habits. I found my niche, and it's all put on the player. Can't make them, but it's a deliverable, and you can see it happening. But so Tim will be fine, and Amari is a prime example. He's in the program, kids like that. But those kids I mentioned, I think, man, you got to keep an eye out on them. And man, I hope next Wednesday, again, you can DM me. Coach Springer has my cell. You can give my cell away or send me if a kid hits you up. Man, send me your cell. I'll call and invite them. 26th to 28th. It's open. If you want to get discovered, there won't be 300 players there. I'm not a money grab. I'm really locking in to teach your child something they can do moving forward. Not next Wednesday, and then discover kids that have one or two things right now. Because it ain't till it's either the skill, which is fine, we do it, or the will. Either one, I want to work with that kid because you can put a plan together and have at least a real shot, And so that's what I do at Uncommon, and man, it's been great making new contacts like you, and man, working alongside Coach Caldwell now locally, but just all the college coaches that have worked my camps and have come around, man. It's just, again, they see what I'm trying to do. They're not dumb. I ain't ranking. I ain't pushing to 30. I ain't losing 30 years relationships. I do it a little different than Coach Caldwell, but it's the same thing. There's no way 30 years relationships. I am trying to sort through everything I would have researched at West Texas for the college coaching community and help the player put himself in position before I make a push. It's a pretty smart strategy if a kid listens. The ones that want to push him out there, push him out there, push him. Hey man, go ahead and pay $80,000 for exposure. And I mean, it ain't, you're going to fall flat. So, but man, I appreciate being on here. It's always good. It's coming up. I'd like to do it Thursday again, and maybe just laser focus on players that maybe are signed up then. And I'll see you at Texas State Camp as well.
Sounds good, Coach. I appreciate it.
All right, Coach. See you, man. Take care.
Yep. Take care.